What is going on, Sky Squad? We are back in the building and we've got some more coverage of the Will Smith, Chris Rock, Jada Pinkett Oscars smackdown that occurred last night. So much has been going on. We do know, like I said earlier, that no charges are being pressed. I even heard that, you know, Chris Rock apparently had a conversation with Will and Jada, during the telecast. I don't think that there were any apologies made. And I think that Diddy had put out a statement or something like that indicating that things were squashed and, that sort of thing. Things that we haven't been able to see or really confirm with our own two eyes. But we're going to talk about the things that we actually are hearing coming down the pike. And we're going to talk about what the Academy is looking to do at this point. So, the first thing I want to talk about is the fact that Radar Online is basically indicating that Will Smith is set to break his silence about the Oscars showdown on Jada Pinkett Smith's Red Table Talk. Now, the outlet is saying that he's turned down invites from Good Morning America, The Today Show, and more, and decided to really, go all in on his wife's platform, which is again Red Table Talk. Now, the outlet is also saying that he's been being bombarded with offers from outlets, pleading with him to, choose their outlet to tell his story. But, you know, this may be a conversation that's better suited for he and his wife to have during a conversation on Red Table Talk. I think what would make this even more effective is if they invited Chris Rock to this discussion. I think that inviting Chris Rock, and I had a podcast with my girl Taria from the What Else Is Going On podcast, and we talked about this, and we talked about how impactful I think it would be for the three of them to have a sit down conversation and a dialogue about what led them to this point, why what happened, and how they can proceed to move forward in a positive direction in the future. And if they chose not to do it on Red Table Talk, I think that the other appropriate place to possibly do it would be on Will Smith's own YouTube page, which he does have a very huge YouTube following as well. I think that that would be something that could be monumental to see these two black men have this discussion about, what went wrong and where they go from here. And I think that that would be something positive for them to see. Now, I want to move on to really what people are saying from the academy into as to what's going to be the consequences of this action, if any, for Will in this entire situation. And for that, we're going to go to USA Today. Okay. So, in an article in USA Today, we have a statement somewhat from the Academy. And my suspicion is that the Academy is going to really wait to weigh their options based on feedback from critics, other celebrities, as well as the general public, as well as the committee members themselves. Now, the statement that they released this afternoon says the Academy condemns the actions of Mr. Smith at last night's show. We have officially started a formal review around the incident and will explore further action and consequences in accordance with our bylaws, standards of conduct, and California law. Now, the article goes on to say that this takes things a step further than what they said last night, which was that they don't condone violence of any kind. So it does make me wonder if there is, again, some sort of maybe pressure from either, networks or, other high powered individuals within the industry to do something with regards to this situation. And again, I personally feel as though, you know, Will took an action that was out of character. And it may be an indicator that there are other things at play here that we just don't know about. But I also think that at the same time, there's maybe some healing that could occur between Chris Rock and Jada Pinkett Smith as well. And again, this is where I say a dialogue needs to happen. But in terms of the Academy, again, it would not shock me if they were to want to take some type of disciplinary action in order to set a precedence for something like this ever happening again, which I cannot see reasonably ever happening again. And so it'll be interesting to see what they do in the coming days, because I think that's really going to be what is the most telling about this situation. Because as you guys know, I mean, everybody is talking about this. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody is talking about, oh, this was a violent act, and what should be done about it and whatnot. And then there's the other side of the coin, where you have a lot of people saying, well, what about protect Black women? What about the trauma that she has had to deal with in dealing with her alopecia journey, and having a husband who was willing to literally risk it all in defense of his wife? So there are so many layers to this discussion, and there's so many consequences that could potentially be had with regards to his career. And then we also must think about where Chris Rock stands in all of this. What did he know about her situation? Because from what I'm hearing and seeing online, is that he really had no idea that she was suffering from alopecia. And celebrities are sometimes caught up in their own little worlds and may not know some of the things that we all know, because we see them and we're watching and our ears are to the streets. But at the same time, I feel like, who wrote that piece for him? Did someone at the Academy write that in for him to say, and he just did his job and said it? Or was this something that he sort of just riffed on off the cuff? Because again, he is a comedian. And, usually when comedians are on a roll, anybody can get it. And he just decided that Jada Pinkett was in his sights, and that was who he set his sights on that day. But in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, if someone on the committee wrote this, then this had to be vetted and approved. And ultimately, there's some onus there as well. But also, too, what trauma may Chris Rock be going through as a result of what's occurred in this situation? Because, I know a lot of people are checking up on Will and, have a lot of thoughts about Will, but it's really interesting to see that Chris Rock, even though he had been pummeled about the face, was still able to continue to present in a way that was definitely affected, but it was also definitely he still did his job. So that was interesting. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that the Academy should take any action against Will? Do you think that the Red Table Talk is the appropriate place to have this dialogue? And do you also think that Chris Rock should be present for this conversation? Because I do, and I think it could go a long way in settling this and deading the situation once and for all. But like I said, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below.